Today I'm doing something very different with reviews of television because I did some watch every each episode of a new show like Skeleton Crew, She-Hulk, and Moon Knight, though kind of with Moon Knight. But I never done a binge watch of seasons of shows. So that's what I'm gonna do today with Lost season 1. I'll review season 2 next week, but let's take a look at Lost season 1, which is a survival thriller drama series about these people uh their names. Oh, Jack, Kate, Hursley, Jen, Son, Claire, James, John Locke, Boone, Shannon, uh, Sia, and Charlie, as well as uh, and those people are on a line are on an island, stuck in an island after after a fatal plane crash happened, and they all had to stick together, not only to and where they not only explore the island and try to help each other by trying to heal them, but also trying to discover things, but also to help Claire get her baby and get the baby and get her baby Aaron back from uh Rose Razun or Danielle at the final episode. And then later they found something that are stairs at the very last shot of season 1. And I thought from this season alone, this show is absolutely incredible. It's a fantastic show so far. Um, and I don't know about me, but this is like the first ever show where I feel like the main good part about the show is the characters, because I love Supernatural because of the characters, of course the demons and the storylines and some of the creative ideas that they do on the show. I love Alias because of the actors like Jennifer Garner, as well as the action and of course the stories that have been the seasons, and the Mandalorian because of the characters, the visuals, the world building, the storytelling, and the action sequences, and many several things. But this show mainly the main focus to review about it is the characters, because it gives us time to not only give us idea of what the characters are, but give us a reason to really uh sympathize and enjoy these characters and want them to get back uh get back home. And because they give us throughout the show, they give us flashbacks to each character, mainly whenever an episode focuses on them. It whenever for the most part the flashback, it works because it kind of plays in like the context and in terms of like the episode's plot and the character development in the show. I really thought they handled it very well, and they're very memorable, and also of course a lot of times very dramatic, knowing like what the characters go through, like before and after and during their time at the island, uh, and what their life was like before they all met each other and before they went to the airport. And I thought they were really good, and I thought the way the characters get along, like sometimes the characters get along already, like Jack and Kate, but sometimes it doesn't work out. But then later they get along well, like with Jen and Michael. Oh, I forgot to talk. Michael and Walt also are. They also like try to be like father and son, but at first Walt was not best luck with him, but they get along very nice. I thought it was really fun development, and I thought John Locke's friendship with the other characters was interesting because halfway through it was not going well because fortunately Boo was killed, was being fallen from a plane, and Jack tried his best to heal him, but fortunately died from blood loss, unfortunately. And Jack tried to blame it on John and as well as Shannon as well, who is Boone's brother or sister actually. And but then they get along well and become allied, true friends. And I thought that was a pretty good development. And I really thought Hersley was pretty entertaining, especially when he tell Jin to piss on his feet. I thought that made me laugh out loud. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. And he was entertaining in some scenes, though he also a very well developed character as well. Uh, and I really enjoyed the character of Kate, especially given how I thought she was a very cool character. I thought her flashbacks where she was with a criminal, and then later she tried to run away from the police, and but then was getting caught, and but then the person that caught her got killed at the plane. And I thought Eva Jean Lilly, if I pronounce her name right, did a great job. Who of course plays Wasp, which is kind of interesting because she was the only actress that I knew going into the show. I expect to see Matthew Fox, who plays Charlie Salinger in one of my favorite shows, Party of Five, to be the lead character of Jack. But I really liked him in this role. I thought he did a phenomenal job in this. I really thought he was a good character. And I was surprised that Charlie is played by the guy who played Bradley from X-Men Origins Wolverine. But I thought he was really good as well. I thought he was a very great character in this. Oh, and there were some good special appearances by Robert Patrick and Michelle Rodriguez. Robert Patrick shows up in the episode where it's mainly about James, and also Michelle Rodriguez appears in the first part of the 3-part season 1 finale, as well, and briefly in Jack's flashback. I thought she was very cool to see. And I thought Jin and Sun's relationship was interesting because they start off as a good couple, but Sun can speak English while Jin can't, and Sun tried to keep it a secret. But then when Michael was beating the crap out of Jin, and one of the episodes, Sun tried to stop them by officially speaking English to everybody, as the only person who knew that was Michael and Kate. And that didn't go well with Jin. He didn't take it well. But then before he can go to the boat alongside Walt, James, and Michael, before Walt gets kidnapped, Jen apologizes to her, and seems like they will go together, though that will depend on season 2 if he makes it out alive in the water. Um, but I thought that was some good relationship build up, and I thought I thought they had some fun moments, like they were trying to play golf during the island. I thought that was a pretty cool idea, and while playing a game with Hursley, but Hursley loses to Walt, and that pisses him off. I thought it was a pretty memorable scene, and I thought the show this season overall is a very good. I thought overall I was very impressed with this. And I really enjoyed this so far, and cannot wait to watch season 2 next week, and I really can't wait. And so far, good start. So as you expect, I'm reviewing Lost season 2, which I'm not gonna lie, I think it's a little bit better than the first season, and I still loved it. And so it's about of course, the survivors meeting up and teaming up with the other survivors. Ana Lucina, played by Michelle Rodriguez, who cameoed in the first season, as well as Libby, who forms a relationship with Hurley, and Echo, who becomes friends with Charlie and is a priest and was looking for a question mark. And also it's about Michael trying to find his son, and unfortunately is having not having the best luck with not only his allies, but also has to deal with the bad guys to get his son back, Walt back. And I thought the show overall, the season was still fantastic. I loved it a lot. Mainly the characters again, because not only I do like the characters, but they have some well development. Specifically the new ones. I thought Anna was a very cool character, where she like this police officer that unfortunately shot someone that, but then later she was one of the people that was at the plane crash, though with different people for several days, like Libby and Echo, and she was being good friends with Jack. I mean, they met each other before. Um, and I thought she was a very cool character throughout the show. And I thought Libby was a good character, a decent character, both as a character her own as the love interest of Hurley for a bit. Thought the romance was well established. A lot is and I thought Echo was probably my favorite character. I thought he was the most unique and the most interesting of them, where he had mainly because of the flashbacks of him as a priest and his time with his brother, and also his quest throughout the season. I thought it was pretty interesting, and I thought the storyline revolving around the priest statues, what's inside of them that Charlie noticed was actually pretty was actually well done. I thought it was very interesting. And I thought Charlie I had three episodes that no two episodes that I really thought that was the most memorable to me, honestly. The one is where Hurley is dealing with his imaginary friend Dave of whether or not he is real or not, and when Dave was telling him to jump off of the of some to a water, uh, Libby stops and they form a romance, and Hurley moves on from Dave and accepts him that he was never a real person. For finally, and I thought the entire episode, was well done, well written, and kind of heartbreaking a bit. And I thought the episode where Charlie is having these bad dreams about Aaron and hallucinating about saving him. That though technically he unfortunately took him, and Claire was absolutely mad at him for doing that twice. And also, he during the flashbacks has a difficult time with his brother because not only he was dropped by the band, but his wife had a hard time with him, as his brother mentioned, Liam. But, but of course, as we saw in the opening, he was having kind of bad dreams. Though I think I just said that, and no, and everyone was now happy with him after he took Aaron away again, especially Claire and John, who beat the crap out of him and was unfortunately left alone. Though he still sides with them, and then later still is friends with Echo. And at the final episode, shockingly forced a romance with Claire, sharing a kiss together, which I didn't see that coming, but that was interesting. And singles with Jack and Kate, I didn't see that coming. I mean, but they had some good chemistry together throughout these first two seasons so far. And I thought they were good characters. I thought Kate was still a very cool character. And I thought the flashback revolving around her were where there was this guy named Wayne who at that house it was exploded and he died, and she was arrested for it. And that was when I was like, oh, so that's why she was considered armed and dangerous, and there was that mugshot the first season. So that kind of explains a lot. And I thought that was a very good episode, and it has some good development where because in the episode Sawyer was badly injured and almost dying, um, and at one point Sawyer was weighing to her, and then Kate quote unquote apologizes to Wayne by giving a speech, a monologue to Sawyer, which I thought was pretty emotional. Honestly, it really was. Um, and I thought the villains were decent enough. They haven't much screen time or much episodes as they should have had, but they were kind of a little menacing, especially when they were kidnapping a kid and they were told Michael they need if they bring the four characters Jack, Kate, Hurley, and Sayer, uh, he would Walt would reunite with his father, Michael. And speaking of Michael, he's a very complicated character in this because at the first half he's a very sympathetic character who is desperate to get Walt back, and you do feel bad for him. You really want him to get his son back. And I wonder how it would go. But then the last half, you kind of feel like hating him because big spoilers. And it was when he shot not only Anna but also Libby. And while Libby did a bit initially survived it, she lost all her blood and fortunately died. And I did not see that coming at all. And it really heartbroken me that these two characters died at the hands of Michael, who also freed Henry, who throughout the season was this character who says that he was in the island because of an air balloon and his wife got sick of and died of it. But no one was trustful of him, and he was one of the main villains of this season, and was kept locked away for most of it until Michael let him free. And he kept it quiet until the penultimate episode where he unfortunately admits it. And then when he gets Walt back, he leaves them, all his friends, and man, you kind of feel some dissympathetic with him because he went from an ally to kind of a traitor to them. And I wonder what's gonna happen to him in season 3. Um, but yeah, when Anna and Libby died, I did not see that coming. And also when Shannon died, I thought her episode about her seeing Walt, and then of course Eazer seeing Walt too, before Shannon got shot accidentally by Anna, was a good episode. I was stunned when she was shot. I did thought she was a fine character, and now that she's gone, that's really sad. And also one of the things I want to mention, I like seeing Clancy Brown, the voice of Mr. Krabs, in the show for only 3 episodes, but he was a but he was a cool addition to see as this character who was on a side with this character named Desmond, who was a prominent character at the last of this season, and then later makes a sacrifice during this part of the island that the main characters like Jack and John and Kate were living in, or like in it, and there was a timer going on in that place. And unfortunately, Clancy Brown died of a skull during one of Desmond's flashbacks. But I thought Desmond was a interesting character addition to this series. And I thought so overall, Lost season 2 is still a very good show, and I thought it was a very good season. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on it, and peace out. Bye. As you expect, we're reviewing Lost Season 3, which is the last season to have 20 or more episodes, because after this, we're reviewing a 14 episode season, and then the last 2 are 17 episodes long, which is kind of fascinating. But in this season, Jack, Kate, and Sawyer get locked up by the others, led by Benjamin. But then later, Jack meets up with Juliet. But then later, Kate and Sawyer escape from their cages, though Jack, for the first half of this season, gets locked up and has to go with the others because they tell him that they can finally find him a way to get back home. But then Jack goes away from them, but then they all try to find a way to get back home still. And I thought this season was still pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was really good. Oh, and also a big plot point. I'll talk about that later. And I do thought the season overall was really good. I thought the plot and the character development was well executed. I thought still the characters Jack was likable, especially in the final 2 episodes of this season. That was really tragic, where he was suffering from massive depression, where he tried to end things, but then he later saved a woman, a child, but still suffering from depression throughout the flashbacks, and has a heartbreaking interaction with Kate at the end of the episode. Says, we gotta get back. That was a very tragic flashback. But still in the present day, he's still a very great character and a fun character. I thought the character Sawyer was still a very cool character. I thought he was very great fun in this. His chemistry with Kate is nice. I thought his interaction with John was very interesting, and his interaction with with John's father was kind of a memorable interaction because it ends on a very intense way. Um, but I thought he was a very cool character, and I thought the new character's Benjamin was a very intimidating villain. I thought he had a good presence. I thought he had a very tragic backstory where he was born, but his mom died after he was born. And his father was not best luck with him. And then he went on his own, and he has a friend named Jacob that's never seen, though for a bit he does. And he tries to talk to John about Jacob and then where he was from until he shoots John, and then John tried to stop Jack from trying to uh make a call to get them back home, which was a big surprise. John trying to stop Jack from trying to make a call to get them back home, because that was their mission throughout the show so far. And I thought Julia was a well-established character. Her backstory was okay, but her chemistry with Jack and Kate was and Son for a bit was well done, and the performance the actress gave is good. I thought she did a good job in the role. And I thought the big of a plot point in the show, not in the show, in this season, where a character named Desmond is talking about a premonition. Now he was having premonitions of Charlie dying, and he was trying to save him from doing it. But then later at the final two episodes, he decided, "Yeah, I think you have to die, Charlie." Um, and it seems like I thought that was a very, honestly, a very fascinating plot point. I wanted to know how it would go at the final episode, and I feel very concerned. Is he gonna make it alive, or he's gonna drown trying to sacrifice himself for Desmond after Mikhail was pulling a grenade? Who I thought also was a very entertaining villain for a bit, the eye patch character. But I thought the big Desmond plot point was very interesting. I thought his flashback was very cool, where he was telling past Charlie and some other guy about trying to predict the future, and it worked for Charlie, but it didn't work for the other guy. And I thought his time with Penny was interesting, where it didn't work out, and it felt like he would want to do it again, but it failed. Fortunately. That was a pretty interesting backstory. I also I thought one of the probably the most interesting one is there was a big focus on Nikki in one episode, where the actress named Nikki and Paolo were dead before we got to know more about the characters. And we get to learn about them, what they were like. They were like a couple from Hollywood, and and she starred in a show that has Billy D. Williams in it, which was pretty cool. Also Justin Chan when the live action Goku's in this season as well. But I thought the Nikki and Paulo thing was a very interesting thing, or a very interesting episode. And I wonder if she's gonna come back because when Hurley and Sawyer were burying them, you see Nikki's eyes open, so she might come back. And I wonder, but and I wonder if season 4 will do that because after that episode, she hasn't come back in this season for some reason, so it feels weird. So wonder if they're gonna remember that. I hope so, because that was a very fascinating episode. It really was. Um, and I thought overall the season was very good. I thought it was very good, and I'm really looking forward to watch season 4 tomorrow. And peace out. Bye. Let's take a look at Lost season 4, which is the show is has only 14 episodes, so this review might not take 10 minutes to record. Let's see. And I gotta say, I thought this season was pretty good. I thought it was really solid. I liked it a lot. So basically, it's this episode, not episode. This season is like where the characters might finally get off the island, even though we have only 2 seasons left. Because throughout this season, which surprised me, unfortunately I think got the information about being a flashback of the final episode with depressed Jack, because that's technically like in the future where Jack, Hurley, Son, Kate, and Saeed are back home, but Jack is in massive depression because he discovered he had a sister, Claire, which was a shocking twist. It was. And he had a hard time with Kate, who was with him throughout the flash forward sequence, and to the point where Kate adopted Aaron as her son after Claire left him, and Sawyer got Aaron before later Kate adopted Aaron throughout this season. And Claire stays with Christian, this guy named Christian that we see after because of John Locke. And I thought those flash forward sequences were pretty interesting and pretty not well done. And I really liked the when Son was having her baby, and then mourns the loss of Jin after, I guess that was weird because I think he died because in this season the boat that he gets in explodes, so it assumes that he died. But we see Jin with going to a store to get a panda and to see his son, but unfortunately he didn't, and unfortunately passed away. And Son visits her funeral, his grave, paying tribute to him, which was a bittersweet episode. And I thought the episode where we see like Benjamin interacting with Saeed, who was looking for the man who killed his woman. I thought that was a pretty cool episode where that focuses on Benjamin in the future. And I thought Benjamin was a very well developed character. I thought he was a very kind of intimidating character, just the way he speaks and the way he interacts with the characters. He has a little bit of a menacing to it, but has a sympathetic feel to it, especially when he feels the loss of the death of his daughter, and also when he goes to at the last episode, goes to the ice mountain and and makes the island disappear before the other characters, Jack, Hurley, Saeed, Kate, Son and not Desmond, because he goes with Penny at the boat, but those characters and Frank to a another beach that maybe be a city. We'll see in season 5 when we do that. And I thought the action and the final episode was pretty cool. And I thought seeing Michael was an interesting surprise, and I thought his flashback about what happened after him and Walt came, their left Jack, Kate, and Sawyer in season 2 was pretty kind of depressing, where Michael was trying to end things. I'm not gonna say certain things on YouTube, but you know what I mean. If you've seen the episode that he's in on the flashback, and that but one of the people that kidnapped Walt for to get for Michael to get Jack, Kate, and Sawyer, trying to convince him to get back to the island under the name Kevin Johnson. And I thought he was a very decent supporting character, Michael, as a pretty interesting return. And it seems like Charlie's officially dead, unfortunately. I also thought the episode where Desmond having a big crisis where he's like, "Who are you? Where am I? Where am I?" And then he has a conversation with Penny, where he is having a crisis because he is in modern day, but he feels like he's living in 1996 as a soldier, but the general is like yelling at him about not obeying orders because he has have a conflict between past and present, and tries to tell Penny about to remember September 22nd about December 24, 2004. And then she officially remembers it by giving him a call at the end of the episode, which was a very nice ending. And Desmond gets back to normal. And I thought overall season 4 was solid for 14 episodes, and I can't wait to watch season 5 tomorrow. And peace out. Bye. I also thought seeing Lance Reddick in for 3 episodes of this season was pretty fascinating. I thought Lance Reddick was really good in this. And may he rest in peace. He appears talking to Hurley, Naomi, well, rest in peace too, the character, and John Locke, who has a pretty interesting flashback because we focus him in an episode. We focus him on him as a kid, where his birth mother left him, and then he has not very great communication with this guy who was showing him a knife and a comic book. And then later he has a hard time at high school. Girls are making fun of him and he feels beat up and feels kind of a little angry. And then we cut to him at normal place in a wheelchair. And at the end of the season, he is buried by the name of Jonathan B. I forgot the last name, but he was like a big character being mentioned throughout the season. Thought it was pretty interesting. This season is pretty fascinating. 5 down, 1 to go. Let's take a look at the 5th season of Lost, which is probably one like the better season, probably top second, maybe top second favorite season of this show. Where it's about Jack, Hurley, Kate, and Son being told by Ben to go back to the island to get their friends back. To which unfortunately they will go all the way to 1977, where they meet up with Miles' dad. They Danny will unfortunately be killed by his own mother, his younger mother. And then see before that, Danny tearfully talks with young Charlotte, his love interest that unfortunately died while her, Danny, Sawyer, Miles, and Julia were like time traveling throughout the island, which was a pretty interesting thing. Oh, and also Jin, who was with young Danielle Rossell before he reunited with Sawyer and the others. And I thought that was a pretty interesting idea about time travel, where it was going around crazy, where there was this giant light going out that would send them through time, and then they unfortunately stay in 1977, and that's where Jack, Saeed, Kate, Hurley, you name it, go. Though except for Sun, because she was at the plane that they will crash into another one, but she's still in the present time alongside side the other characters like Elena and Ben. And kind of imposter John Law, because there might be because this was an interesting thing in this season, because John Locke's flashback, we see him going with Lance Reddick for a bit because he's being targeted before Lance gets killed. Then later he tried to convince the convince Jack, Kate, and Saeed to come back to the island, but they all turn him down, to the point where he wrote a note and tried to end all things, but Ben stopped him. But then he kills him, but then he clears up all the evidence that makes it clear that he killed him by making it believe that John ended things all by himself. And Ben is a very interesting character because he starts as a character that you're kind of supposed to hate, because not only he kills John Locke, but he also shot Desmond and was considered shooting Penny, but their kid was with her, so he couldn't do it. But then after he tries to beg for forgiveness with the monster about the death of his daughter that he took from young Danielle, he kind of becomes a very sympathetic character where he has to do what John Locke has to do, who somehow came back, though there might be some evidence that he might not be the real John Locke, because when we see Ilana at the final episode with the corpse, showing them the John Locke corpse, Sun goes, "If this is the real Locke, then who's that?" Where John Locke and Ben goes to a tomb where they come across Jacob, who is played by the actor who plays Lucifer on Supernatural, or Eric, who is the guy that Lucifer possesses and tries to bring Lucifer back at season 13 or 14. But it was a very awesome appearance and a very interesting anticipation to who Jacob is and what he looks like, especially since he shows up in like the final 2 episodes, and he shows up in the flashbacks where he talks to young Kate, as well as Jin and Sun at the wedding, as well as Hurley after he got out of prison because he did not kill the people that the hotel, because Saya did it, and the cops thought and the people thought that Hurley killed them because there were news reports, to the point where the cops arrested him, but everything was all clear that he did not do it, and he was let go free. And uh, Jacob takes him to his car. He has an interaction with him and talks to young Sawyer. Um, I thought he was a very interesting character and kind of a mysterious character too. Going around meeting all these characters and flashbacks, thought it was pretty interesting. Um, I thought the character Mr. Chang was very memorable. We've seen him before, but this is like a real, like trying, like seeing him in in person, not on TV. That was pretty interesting. I thought seeing Michelle Rodriguez for a bit in one episode was an interesting appearance. I thought the scene where Juliet tried kind of sacrifices herself at the end was pretty interesting because while it feels weird that she managed to survive the fall from Sawyer holding her, because I feel like that would have killed her, but and try to make the device explode. And I guess it explodes. I wonder what's gonna happen to her at the final season. We'll see how it goes. And I thought Hurley trying to rewrite The Empire Strikes Back was kind of funny moment. I thought their friendship with Miles was cool, and Jen learning English better is kind of fun to see. Um, and I thought overall this season was really good. I also thought Kate uh talking to Claire's mother was a kind of sad scene where she confesses to lying, and I I wonder what happened to Aaron unless she gave uh Claire's mother to him or gave him to Claire's mother. I wonder what happened to Aaron. Um, and I thought overall this season was very good. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts on it. Peace out. Bye. So this is it. The final season of Lost. I finally watched season 6 after spending 2 weeks or 3 weeks watching the show by season. And I think, I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the best season in this show, honestly. It really is. It is not only an epic final season, but also a very heartbreaking season. Because not just with the final episode, there have been several episodes and moments throughout the show where really got me, really touched. Like it really was a touching season. Um, I wouldn't say is my number one favorite show. The answer still belongs to Supernatural. And there were some very heartbreaking moments in that show. Of course, with Castiel's death, or seemingly his death, because Jack Klein revived Castiel. But Dean and Sam's death as the end of the final episode. And there was some great storylines throughout the entire dash of that show. But I will say it's probably my number 4th. Only because while I thought the show was excellent, I love the show. Maybe I felt like this was season 6 was officially the season where I felt like I really loved the show. Like I loved the first season, but I really felt like, but it wasn't like one truly super duper ooper on board with the show like I did with Supernatural and The Mandalorian, and would later do it more in the last half of the first season of Alias, and the more I watch of that show. But I still think Lost is a very good show, and I think this season is excellent. And I thought the most interesting part about the season is how this season doesn't have flashback sequences nor flash forward sequences, but interesting sequences where kind of takes place in a different world where they didn't crash on a plane, but were okay at the Oceanic A15 plane, or they live their different lives. Jack is still a doctor while having his time with his son, and hangs out with his sister Claire, who I think is I thought it was very wonderful to see. I thought she was phenomenal in this season, where she started as this lady as who where she starts off as being angry and not being feeling so well that Kate Austin was adopting Aaron, but was okay with it and was happy for her taking care of Aaron while she was with she stayed at the island with someone else. And I thought she was a very good character both in during the island sequences and like in the other part sequences. And I thought the scenes with Jin and Sun were very sad, honestly. Thought they had some great chemistry, and their sacrifice at the end, not at the end, but like in like the third to last episode was very touching. I did not see that coming, nor that I did with Saeed and that's the exact same episode, which was the episode before that episode of young young Jacob and his brother, which was a very interesting episode where we learn about their backstory and what they were like as young kids, and that their mother was murdered by someone that would adopt them as a way to not be like the people that their real mother is or was. And I thought the actors, both the child ones and of course the adult ones, did phenomenal job in those roles. Of course, I I love Mark from Supernatural as Nick slash Lucifer. But then the person who plays I think Google lists credits him as Men in Black or something like that. I thought he was a very good uh performance and gives us the origin of the giant smoky monster or shadowish smoky monster that was throughout the show, and how his desire to leave the island turned him kind of into the dark side for a bit. Thought that was very phenomenal and good villain origins. And I thought the evil John Locke was a decent villain. I thought he was done well. And I thought his fight scene with Jack was a very brutal and fun fight action scene. And I thought his interactions with Ben were memorable too. I think Ben is a very good character in this season. I thought Alana was good too. I thought Desmond was also a very great character in this, where in the others part of the sequences where they lived their lives in the city, he tried to kill John and was beating the crap out of Dr. Ben Linus, where Ben Linus is a professor in the school, which I found to be kind of an interesting career for Ben. Um, and Sawyer is a cop also, which I think is kind of cool. And Cade was a fugitive until Sawyer caught him and caught her and arrested her, as well as Saeed and Desmond when Desmond confessed to Sawyer, and they were going to the concert. Were where Claire and Charlie reunite, which, by the way, I really like seeing Charlie back in the show. And so is Boone and Shen. I really miss those characters. And it's fun to see them in this season. The final episode, which brings back Shannon, uh, felt like a big happy reunion. I mean, it's the series finale, so what better you can do? I thought probably this is one of the best series finales. I thought the way they ended the show was great, where everybody was having their memories of their island, with Sun, Jin, Juliet. She's back after she died in the first episode this season, unfortunately, but she comes back in this episode, in the final episode, and she gets her memories after a bittersweet interaction with Sawyer, which I thought was really cute. Um, and I thought having Jack as the last person to gain his memories back was, I think, was makes a lot of sense. I mean, he's pretty much like the main protagonist of the show. And I thought him just being staying on the island was very interesting. I mean, I'm okay with it at the same time because I feel like it would have been so obvious that they would go back to the city. Though it seems like Miles, Claire, Kate, and Ben, not Ben or Hurley, since they stayed while the plane was starting, going back to the city. Wonder what's gonna happen to Hurley and Ben. Though we'll never know for better, I guess. Um, but I've wanted to talk about an episode about Richard, where that was a very dark and tragic episode where Richard had two women that she loved, and both tragically died, though specifically Isabella. And the thing, and basically Hurley was hallucinating Isabella and was trying to convince Richard to talk to Isabella, and he kind of did, and in tears. But man, those flashback sequences of Richard and how he met Jacob, it was a very dark and very tragic episode. I really felt horribly about Richard in this episode. But he was solid in the season overall. And I thought when Jack reunites with his father at the end, I thought that was a very emotional scene. I thought the way they executed it and how they did it was a big surprise, and it was a very good one. I really loved what they did in that scene. I thought that was perfect way to end the show, with all the characters going to the church, and Mr. Shepherd opens the door and leaves, with all the characters: Jack, Kate, John, Ben, Sawyer, Hurley, you name it, Shannon, Claire, Boone, Charlie, happy together at a church. Um, and I thought Hurley talking to Michael was interesting, and I thought him uh kind of reuniting with Libby during those sequences where they at the city was kind of nice to see, since it was sad when Libby died in season 2 before they can go to a picnic, and they finally did, which gained Hurley's memories back of being on the island. And yeah, this show this season, specifically season 6, is amazing. Lost is a great show, but season 6 was something else. It was something else, and I'm really glad I got to watch Lost. One of my top 4 favorite shows of all time, and check it out if you haven't, either on Netflix or Hulu or on Disney Plus with a Hulu subscription. So that's my full-on review of Lost season 6. Even if I missed some stuff about the show, but it pretty much what I can remember and needs to be known by watching this season.